Okay, I have some things that I need to talk about. So it's still Epic the Musical stuff. I'm sorry, I'm obsessed, and because I have been listening to the soundtrack on repeat for like the past 2 months, there are some things I have noticed that I need to get out there. So, okay. First of all, he's very good at integrating all the songs and making them sound similar, for each particular saga and giving each saga its own feel. And even between sagas, having like one of the main lines from a previous saga gets repeated in other songs, like "I'm Just a Man," gets brought up several times throughout the saga, as well as the "When Does a Man Become a Monster" moment comes up a lot. There's Full Speed Ahead. I know it gets mentioned several times. So he's just very good at integrating them all together, making them feel cohesive anyway, and while each saga still has its own feel, and yet because of all the different details that he throws in there, instrumentally and lyrically, it kind of just flows, and so it all feels like one big project, which is fantastic, and I love it, and he does it so well. Okay. There's some things that need to be discussed. Okay. First of all, the whole theme of Politis' song of Open Arms is very much just saying, hey, Odysseus, you kind of got to stick up your butt, and you're paranoid. We don't have to be. The war is over. We can we can be nice people again. Is essentially what is being said. So he keeps repeating over and over again. It's like, hey, we lead from the heart. You can have compassion again. The war is over. You don't have to think like a soldier. And then Politis gets killed by Polyphemus, and it's depressing. It's so sad. And then in the Storm Saga, they get to Aeolus's island, and In Luck runs out. It's just him and Eurylochus going back and forth and arguing about it. And one of the first lines that Odysseus has to refute, going against to argue with, and Eurylochus, words are hard. I just got off 8 hours of work. I'm sorry. But anyway, after literally one of his first lines is lead from the heart and see what starts. I'm like, no, Politis actually taught him something, and he's taking what Politis said to heart, and it's like, oh, my baby. And on top of that, we have the little reprise of Open Arms in the underworld, and that just killed me, especially his freaking octave jump. Instead of going down with Open Arms, going like, greet the world with open arms, greet the world with open arms, like he does in the song Open Arms. He goes, greet the world with open arms, greet the world with open arms, and he starts going up, and it's so good. I was listening to it, and that hit me so hard. I was like, oh, okay, it's all right. I didn't need my heart anyway. Seriously, that was not okay. That part was not okay, especially with Odysseus, who literally is going, Politis, suddenly it's all hitting him. It's been go since for the last 12 years. So it's been war for 10 years, and then them trying to get home, and it's just been one thing after another. And so he hasn't really had time to process the fact that Politis is gone, and he hasn't had time to grieve it, because they went straight from he gets killed in the midst of a fight, and so then they have to figure out how to fight to defeat Polyphemus, and then he has Athena on his butt about not killing Polyphemus, and then they get out of Polyphemus's cave, and out sailing again. And then this giant storm hits. And so he literally has no time to process that. And as soon as they get out of the storm, they get blown onto Circe's island and the people are turned to pigs. And there's so much happening. And on top of that, a whole bunch, Poseidon kills a bunch of his men. And so he has literally no time to process it. And so suddenly he's in the underworld and he's literally like seeing Polites' spirit, essentially, singing the chorus of this song, and basically, again, it's just reiterating his message of, hey, we can have compassion, because that's, like, basically, it seems to be, like, the last thought or message or whatever of it's like the dying wishes or whatever of whoever it is, because when he sees his mom, it's her waiting, and it's basically her last moments, essentially, is what he sees. And so that implies that Polites was still thinking about, hey, we can have compassion and we can greet the world with open arms, as he's being crushed by Polyphemus's club. And Polites is just too precious in this, and it's so sad that he's gone, and that reprise killed me. I'm sorry, that is really the biggest part that got me in the Underworld Saga when I was listening for the first time. It still gets me. It still gets me when it comes on. So yeah, that whole concept of Polites bringing up this idea of like, hey, Odysseus, we don't have to think like soldiers anymore. We can have compassion. And Odysseus taking that to heart, and so then bringing that idea back up in Lockdown's Out, where he's accepted this idea and basically said, okay, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to have more compassion for people. And that's wonderful. And I loved it so much. It was so good. That one, I think it was like the third time I had listened through the entire soundtrack, I noticed, oh, he says lead from the heart. And then, yeah, that got me. So that was pretty early on. I cannot tell you how many times I've actually listened through this, because I can get through it twice in a day. Anyway, one I noticed more recently that I also find just great is the verses of Survive in the Cyclops Saga. They have the same, not exactly melody, but like the same rhythm and the same cadence as Zeus's part in the Horse and the Infant. So now my brain's gonna blank on what it actually is, but we have Zeus. I might just play it over this, but we have the cadence of Zeus singing in The Horse and the Infant.
A vision of what is to come cannot be outrun, can only be dealt with right here and now. Tell me how.
And then if you compare that to Odysseus singing to his men in the verses of Survive.
My brothers, the rest of our fleet, they wait at the beach, and if we're defeated, they're good as dead. Straight ahead.
It's the same cadence and like the same rhythm. It's not quite the same melody, because it does shift a little bit to match more the feel of the Cyclops Saga, but you can tell that it is the same cadence, which is fantastic. I love it, because we have Zeus saying, like, telling him there's this threat that you need to take care of, and ends up being an infant. It's like, oh, holy crap. He ends up killing this infant, and now when he is faced with the next big threat, he is singing with this same feel, the same vibe, and the vibe and the same cadence as Zeus was when he was telling him to kill this infant. And he's singing with that same cadence about killing Polyphemus. It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. I love it so much. I love it. It's just so freaking good. I had another thing that I literally thought of when I started recording this, and now it is gone, which is just so frustrating to me. But yeah, you have no right. You have no right to be this good at integrating the songs together and making them fit together and having these parallels and these... It's too good. It's so freaking good. I'm sure there will be some other... I might throw random shorts up about this throughout as the sagas continue to come out. There might be another video like this at some point. But it's so good. The writing, it's like vocals aside, because they're all great vocalists. Like, I love that they're just random people that he found on TikTok. I love that they're not these big name like Broadway singers. It's fantastic, and they all do a phenomenal job. But just lyrically, instrumentally, all the mechanics of the song, like vocals aside, the mechanics of the songs are so good, and I love them so much. Okay, I think I'm done. That was a super random rant. It's so good. It's so good. There are probably more of this random stuff to come in shorts or video or whatever format. But anyway, until then, bye guys.